I just want to share with you my experience of what it takes to build habit consistency and the 7 things that you can start doing today that will help you achieve habit consistency. And why is it important to build habit consistency? Well, for any of us who want to achieve an improvement in our health and our well-being, there are certain actions that we have to take to actually achieve those goals. And it's no good trying to do them just for a short period of time. That will progress you, but it won't sustain progress and in sustaining the results you achieve. So it's all about how do we build that consistency into our lives that allow us to repeat those actions over and over and over again, so when we do get results, we can sustain them. The first thing that I think is very important to building habit consistency is having a why, having a reason to want to do it. A strong reason to want to do it could be, I want to lose weight because I want to build my confidence. The more confident I am, the more outgoing I am, and my social life is very important to me. So becoming more confident will give me more purpose and more of a drive to go out there and achieve more things. So it's not just about losing the weight, it's what losing the weight gives you, the reason why you want to lose that weight. And also having a strong why helps you have that strength of perseverance, the ability to keep going when what you are doing becomes tough and challenging. Perseverance, for me, is probably the bedrock of habit consistency. And my clients who have that strong level of perseverance or grit, determination, whatever you want to call it, are the ones that end up actually achieving long-term results. So building that perseverance to just get through the tough times, when things get tough, when things don't actually go the way you want, or you'd rather take the easy option, then that's the difference between people who go on to achieve their health goals than people who just stop and go back to where they were. So at the end of all this, what is it will you gain from whatever you do? If the actions you're performing actually end up resulting in a benefit, then it's much easier to keep going. So ask yourself, what is it you will gain from doing all this? And is what you're going to gain worth what you're going to give up? The second thing I think is really important to building habit consistency is building an identity. Whenever we have a goal, we're envisioning what we're going to be like in the future, our future self. Who do we want to become? It's certainly different from who we are today, because if you already had achieved your goal, then you wouldn't be, working towards it anymore. So who do you want to become by implementing these new habits and trying to follow them consistently? And also, who are you currently? What is it about you don't actually, want anymore, that you want to change and become different in the weeks and months ahead? Who do you want to be identified as? Do you want to be identified as someone who starts something but doesn't finish it? Do you want to identify as someone who says they're going to do something and end up doing it? So your identity, who you want to become, is really important when it comes to building habit consistency. Otherwise, if whatever the habits, if they change you into someone you don't want, then there's no way you're going to keep doing those habits. So who is it you want to become? Who do you want to be identified as? And also, if you think of your future self, you've achieved the goal, say in 6 months' time. What are you doing consistently in 6 months' time to make that happen? And therefore start doing it today. Because without doing it, there's no way you're going to be able to do it in 6 months' time. So what would your future self consistently be doing in 6 months' time after you achieve that goal? The third thing that I found that helps build habit consistency is focusing more on the process and not the outcome. What I mean by that is your outcome is your goal. What is it you want to achieve? Where the process is the actions that you'll have to do to achieve that outcome. And we have a tendency to keep focusing on goals, which are in the future, and not really focusing on what we have to do today, the present. So what actions do you have to do consistently today so you have that outcome in the future? What is the process you have to follow? And there's a thing called the gap versus the gain. When we have a goal and we're always looking ahead, we see the gap between where we are currently to where we want to be. And sometimes that gap can be quite big, and we kind of think, how are we going to bridge that gap? It's too much, it's too far away. And therefore, it's better to focus on the gains that you are making on a daily basis. And that only comes from actually doing those actions, following those habits, changing your behaviors. That's what we need to be focusing on. What gains are you getting from doing that today? And therefore, we will bridge that gap eventually. Where if you keep looking at the gap that still exists, then that can be quite, demotivating, off-putting. Where if you just focus on what you need to do today, then whatever gap there is to where you want to be, who you want to become, will be bridged. The fourth thing that I found that helps build habit consistency is keeping it simple. We have a tendency to overcomplicate things and find that, what is everyone else doing? What's the best way to do something? What's the latest trend? And actually just keeping it really simple, doing the things that you know you can easily do, is going to increase your ability to be consistent. If you overcomplicate things, where you're always having to think, you're always having to work hard at actually doing it, that will reduce your ability to be consistent. It's what I call do the fundamentals. What are the fundamental things you need to do on a daily basis to move you forward? And as we do these simple things, we'll become more confident in our ability, and therefore we'll in the future be able to do more complicated things. And actually those complicated things become our simple things, and so on as we move forward. But if you overcomplicate it from the start, you're creating a lot of hard work and resistance when it comes to being consistent. The fifth thing that I've found that helps build habit consistency is the environment that you find yourself in, or the environment that you can build around you. What is currently around you that is helping you become consistent, or what's hindering you from becoming consistent? An example would be if you got the wrong sorts of foods in the house to start eating, having a healthy diet. Is that helping you or hindering you? How much willpower do you need every time you walk into the kitchen to not eat those foods that are detrimental to what you're trying to achieve? So could you make that environment easier? Reduce the friction in being consistent. Get rid of the food from your house. Have it so if you want those sort of foods, you have to leave the house and go and find them. That causes friction. That makes it harder for you to go and do it. Where if you reduce the friction to do bad habits, then it's very hard to stop them. So look at the environment you're in. Is it helping you? Is it hindering you? Is it causing friction? Is it making it easy for you to, be healthy and follow healthy habits? And if not, how do you change that environment to make it so it's easier for you to, follow and stick to the health habits that you've chosen to implement? The next thing that I found that helps build habit consistency is support. You can't do this on your own. You're not an island. It's not just the case of finding people to help, but it's also understanding that there's a lot of people around you that are going to be pulling you in different directions. They've got their own, goals to achieve. They don't necessarily, understand what you're trying to achieve, or don't place the same importance on it. So you've got to understand that the people around you, again, a bit like your environment, will be, helping you or hindering you. And most of the time, they don't even know they're helping or hindering you. They're just getting on with their own lives. But my advice is speak to the people around you. Tell them how important it is for you to achieve these health goals. And you probably find a lot of people will come on board to try to help you. I found there's kind of four types of people in your life. And we kind of, or I label them as cheerleaders, buddies, saboteurs, and hecklers. The cheerleaders are the people who are going to, they can't do this, they don't have the same goal as you and aren't going to follow the same habits and behaviors, but they will support you from the sidelines. They will cheer you on, do as much as they can to help you move forward. And then you've got your buddies. They're the people who say, I want to do this with you. I'm going to go on this journey with you, and we'll do this together. And they can be really helpful in helping you get past those tough times. But we're going to meet on a Saturday morning at 10 o'clock to go for a run or a cycle or a fitness class. When you've made that appointment, when you've made that commitment to someone that you're going to do it with them, then there's a high chance you're going to do it. And then we have our saboteurs, the people who more times than not don't even know they're doing it. They might just be, oh, can't, have another glass of wine with me. Why don't we go out for dinner and so forth. And they don't even know that they're actually, making it harder for you to, be healthy and follow those habits and behaviors that you've chosen to follow. And usually with those people, you just have a chat with them. Say, look, this is not helping me. This is why it's so important that I change what I'm doing. And they, more times than not, will come on board with you. The hecklers, unfortunately, are probably people you want to remove from your life because they're actually not helping at all. They will tell you like, well, you've tried to lose weight in the past. You never achieved it. So what's the point? Or, you're just unhealthy person. That's just the way it is. Most of the time it's because they don't want to change themselves and they want everyone around them to stay as they are. But they're not helpful. You can usually tell who they are by the language they use. It's very negative. So be aware of those sort of people. If you can't remove them from your life, then try to get as many cheerleaders and buddies involved as much as possible to offset any of the hecklers. And the last thing that I found that really helps build habit consistency, up there with having a strong reason to want to change, is accountability. How do you hold yourself to account? How do you make sure you do what you said you're going to do? From my couple of decades of coaching people, that probably is the fundamental thing that people have an issue with, is they don't actually end up doing what they said they're going to do. And it's, part of behavioral coaching that I do to try to work out why people say, I'm going to cut out X from my diet, but then, carry on having it in their diet. It's not that I've told them to cut it out of their diet. They've actually said to me that they'll cut it out from the diet and they still include it. So making yourself accountable to as many people as you can. Say to them, this is what I'm going to do. And in a way you are, like I said earlier about building an identity, you're saying to people, this is an identity I want to portray. This is the type of person I want to become. And I'm telling as many people as I can that that's the type of person I want to be. So if you don't do it, then people aren't going to take you seriously next time you say you want to change. So you're actually putting yourself on the line, so to speak, in that to become that person you want to become, then you've got to show people that you're willing to go through what's needed to become that person. And get those people to hold you to account. It's just one thing telling them, it's another thing asking them to say, look, if I haven't texted you or messaged you about if I've done what I said I was going to do, then message me and say, hey, why aren't you doing X? That can be a powerful motivator to, staying consistent with your habits. So just a recap on that. Have a strong reason for doing it, for changing, building new habits, becoming consistent in those habits. What I call the why. Build yourself an identity. Say, this is the person I want to become, and therefore these are the things I need to do to be identified as that person. Focus on the process, not the outcome. Think of the small actions you need to do today, and don't get too far ahead in the future about what it is you want to achieve, because if you don't do those daily actions, you're not going to achieve the outcome. Keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate things. If things are becoming harder to do, then simplify them. Make them easier for you to do. Do the fundamentals. Do the basics every day. What sort of environment do you find yourself in? Is it helpful? Is it hindering you to, changing and becoming the person you want to become? Do the people around you hinder you or help you? And try to reduce as much friction as you can in actually implementing these new healthy habits. And therefore, what sort of support do you have around you? What are the type of people in your life that are helping you move forward or are actually holding you back? Identify them. Understand what they're, what they're doing, and try to surround yourself with as many people who want to help you, and then don't. And then the last one, accountability. Make yourself accountable, if not to yourself, to other people. Get others to hold you to that, to what you say you're going to do. And if you follow these 7 kind of strategies to building habit consistency, I see no reason why you can't make those changes and become the person you want to be and live a healthier, fitter, stronger life. If you need any more help, reach out. If you've got any questions about this video, then please let me know. Always happy to help and move you forward to the life that you want.